What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today we are looking at an IRL match between my mother, Joan Morsa, and my testing partner, John Sundstrom. The match is Buzzwole Lycanroc versus Zoroark Golisopod standard format. We see Joan goes first. She attaches Fighting Energy to Sudowoodo and plays an N. Sudowoodo not really the best starter here, but she does have a Remoraid on the bench. John has a Wimpod active, which is pretty good. It's probably the second best starter next to Coco, because it has that Wimp Out ability, which allows it to retreat for free on the first turn. So both players shuffle up and draw 6 cards. N really isn't too bad for Buzzwole Lycanroc since they don't play Bridget. They just want to draw cards on the first turn and get a Brooklet Hill, which we see she does get. I'm just over there fixing the prize cards in the background. But she'll get a Brooklet Hill while she already has a Rockruff and a Remoraid in play, so she'll get that Buzzwole. She has a pretty good setup other than the Sudowoodo active, but she can't attack anyway since it's turn 1. So I think this setup is something I would take every game if I got this setup. It's probably an average setup, I'd say. Remoraid's good, Rockruff's good, Buzzwole's good. It's good to have both of your basics that evolve down. So we'll see John going Bridget from the hand, I believe. Yeah, he didn't play a Lele there. So Bridget right from the hand. Probably getting Zorua, Coco, Wimpod, or yeah, 2 Zorua, Wimpod. Okay, that's pretty good. So these tabletop matches are new to the channel. Let me know what you think. Give me some feedback on them. I rather like them because I get to practice commentating and I get to look back at these matches and watch them closely while not playing in them. Whereas the PTCGO matches that I upload more regularly and that are not new to the channel, I'm playing in them, so I don't have an omniscient view over the game really, and I can't take the time to make every critique. So whereas in this I can point out misplays a little bit easier, point out good moves easier, say maybe I would have done this or that, because I'm not actually in the game. Okay, so he did Lele for that Bridget. I couldn't see the Lele under his arm. So Lele for Bridget, he gets Zorua, Coco, and Wimps out to the Coco. So here we'll see a strong energy. If she's able to retreat that and put out a Regirock, which makes the fighting Pokemon do more damage, she might be able to one-shot the Coco, but she knows how important Golisopod starting out on the bench is, so she decides to bring Wimpod active. I think here probably an Octillery. Yeah, she goes Octillery here. So unfortunately, with the way her hand is, she won't be knocking out the Wimpod, but she'll be putting a good amount of damage on it while keeping it active, and that's not something John wants. She could have brought up a Zorua to get a prize card, but she would still be leaving the Wimpod on the bench, so she kind of wants to disrupt her opponent. Also, he has 2 Zorua, so if she knocks out one, he'll just evolve the other. The play would have definitely been to bring up Zorua if he only had 1 Zorua, but since there's 2, Wimpod is a reasonable choice. Myself, I might have gone for the knockout on Coco. I'm not sure. So she gets another Rockruff down. I believe Sudowoodo has... Does it have one retreat or two? Okay, so she passed the turn over to John. That's why she brought up the Wimpod, because she wasn't going to be able to attack. I'm checking now. I think the Sudowoodo has 2 retreat. That's the only reason she would have left it there, I believe. Yes, Sudowoodo with Watch and Learn has 2 retreat, so that's why I was stuck up there. It's a worse starter than I thought it was. So John can't hit an energy card for a Zoroark or a Golisopod, and he just passes the turn over. He did Enhanced Hammer Strong Energy off the Buzzwole, but we see Joan gets a Max Elixir, and she hits an energy off the top 6, and that goes on to Buzzwole. She attaches Strong from hand, probably looking to have a Guzma this turn. Yeah, so John has a pretty good board state, but it's kind of a rough start for him not having any energy in play. So we see Joan throws away 2 fighting energy with this Ultra Ball. She's either looking to empty her hand for Abyssal Hand draw, or looking for a Lele to get a Guzma. She might be looking for the Guzma off of the Abyssal Hand. Yeah, she goes for the Lele. So Abyssal Hand for 3 to see if she gets it before using the Lele. But I think... Oh, she has a Float Stone. Okay. Okay, and she'll choose not to use a supporter this turn, so she doesn't have to put down the Lele, I think. Yeah, she'll Brooklet Hill, putting down the Regirock. Save that Lele for later, since she did hit a Float Stone. And she hits Golisopod for 60 damage with Jet Punch, and she'll be putting 30 on a benched Pokemon. So let's see if John can get an energy in play this turn. He trades away a Guzma. I see another Zoroark in there, I think. Yeah, there's the Zoroark. So he's gonna... Yeah, here's another trade. 2 Puzzles of Time, but I still don't see an energy. He evolves his other Golisopod, so he has a great setup. He has 2 Golisopods, 2 Zoroarks, a Koko, and a Lele, full bench. So a really nice setup, just no energy cards to attach. So he'll play an N, hoping to hit maybe a Floatstone Grass Energy or a Floatstone DCE. He wants energy. That's what we're really looking for here. So both players finish shuffling up, and they're going to each draw 6 cards. And still no energy in John's hand, we see, so that's pretty rough. He gets another enhanced hammer, so off goes the strong energy on John's Buzzwole, but it looks like he's going to have to pass. Yeah, so John passes the turn, looks at his discard, looks at his hand, wonders where's all of my energy at. Another basic energy from hand to the Buzzwole, a choice band, and let's see if Joan plays a supporter here. She might just decide to swing into that Buzzwole since her board is pretty good. Yeah, and we'll see 70 on the Golisopod and 30 somewhere else. I think she put 30 on the benched Golisopod, I believe, but that dice is kind of hard to see. It's like clear and red. So 130 on the active Golisopod, 60 on the benched Golisopod, I believe. We'll see John trade. He does have a grass energy now, so we might be seeing a Guzma on the Lycanroc. Oh, he also has a DCE. Okay, so, he's gonna Guzma the Regirock, since, yeah, I guess the Lycanroc isn't a threat with no energy on it, and the Regirock is adding damage to everything. And it is weak to grass, so he can just take an easy first impression KO on it. So Joan will send up Sudowoodo. It has the option of, copying first impression with its watch and learn attack, but it would have to be on the bench at some point this turn to get the full effect of that. So it looks like the two options are watch and learn the first impression, which would be done by retreating and then Guzma, or she can attach if she has the energy to the Buzzwole, and that can get a knockout on the active with its GX attack or something else on the bench, but she does Sycamore her hand away. She gets Max Elixir and a strong energy and a regular basic energy. She has gone through a lot of basic energies though, so I don't know if we can count on that Max Elixir hitting. So she attaches the strong energy from hand, and we're going to see if that Max Elixir can go onto that baby Rockruff there on the bench. And it does. She hits the Max Elixir. So she has a Rockruff with 1 energy, a Sudowoodo with 1 energy, and a fully powered Buzzwole. So, 1 threat and 2 potential threats are now on the board, along with an Octillery drawing her cards. So her board state's pretty good. I believe she's going to Absorption GX here for the kill on the Golisopod, but we'll see what happens. Oh, my bad. So she doesn't even have to Absorption GX. She can use Buzzwole's other attack, which the name is escaping me at the moment, but it does 160 base, and then it has a plus 30 from the band and a plus 20 from the strong energy, so it does a total of 210, which is exactly Golisopod's HP. So she gets a knockout there without even using her GX attack. But the attack does state that that Buzzwole cannot use an attack next turn, or can attack next turn, however the wording is. So if she wants to attack with Buzzwole next turn, she would have to Guzma and then retreat back to it, or just retreat the Buzzwole for 2 energy and attack with something new if it survives this turn, which it looks like it's going to. So right here, John has no energy on board, he has a very damaged Golisopod on the bench. He probably isn't going to ideally go after this Buzzwole just because it has 190 HP. So Joan has a Lycanroc GX on the bench, which could give John 2 prizes off of a first impression if he has a Guzma and a Grass Energy in hand. That might be the best play. Just try to keep going up on prize cards here. Since John took 2 and then Joan took 2, it looks like it might turn into a pretty quick game from here, just on who can take all of their prizes faster. So John does not Guzma. We'll see him attach Grass to this damaged Golisopod and then play N. So ideally, he probably would have had an Acerola or a Guzma here. But luckily, the Coco has free retreat, so that's active. He can just retreat and hit a first impression for 120. But that's going to be leaving a very damaged Golisopod active. It has 80 HP left right now. So we'll see John choose to retreat and hit Buzzwole with 120 damage from that first impression. So right here, Joan can't attack with Buzzwole unless it is removed from the active position. And it's not going to be removed by Acerola or Guzma since she just used Sycamore. So she'll have to manually retreat if she wants to attack this turn. I can't really tell if she has an energy in her hand, which she will need to attack. But she used Sycamore and not Abyssal Hand yet, so she still has an out to hit energy if she doesn't already have it. Looks like there's a Lycanroc, so we might see a cute play with Watch and Learn after bringing up a Zoroark. She'll bench Buzzwole. Right now she wants to get cards out of her hand, but she can't get enough out, so she's just going to leave that Buzzwole active and pass the turn over to John. So he's going to Acerola that Golisopod, send up Coco, attach energy to Golisopod, probably just retreat and use first impression. First he's going to trade, get a little card advantage there, discarding the Ultra Ball and drawing 2. This is looking really good for John now because he'll knock out the Buzzwole and then have a Lycanroc GX left on Joan's bench to KO later in the game. So he'll use first impression and go down to 2 prizes. John has a really large hand here, so if Joan doesn't N, I think he has 2 puzzles, and he can probably get the game off of that. But we'll see her use N. I think she didn't use Bloodthirsty Eyes when she evolved the Lycanroc, so I think she's going for a Dangerous Rogue on the Golisopod, and she's going to try to win off of knocking out that Golisopod and hoping John doesn't get a puzzle, double puzzle of time to get back a Grass Energy, Golisopod, or Guzma, any of those 2, because next turn a Guzma first impression on a Lycanroc wins the game for John. So Joan is behind on prizes, but she's poised to take a prize here if she can hit an energy card. And she's putting John down to 2 prizes, which isn't horrible since he has 2 Zoroarks, but he still has to get through his deck and find the pieces he needs for the win next turn. So she gets a basic energy card. She attaches a choice band, which isn't necessary. So she could have saved that in her hand, but she attaches it and takes 2 prizes off the Dangerous Rogue for 280 damage on the Golisopod GX. So here's where John's about to dig for those pieces. He throws away a Guzma. I think he's looking for double puzzle. He doesn't have Grass Energy or Golisopod, so perhaps he put away the Guzma thinking he's going to go for a Zoroark play here. Let's see what happens. So he's going to Field Blower away the Choice Band and the Float Stone, so I don't think the Choice Band will end up mattering too much, but if she held that in her hand last turn since she didn't need it, she would have had the Choice Band this turn. So John is just going to Field Blower and pass. If he kept the Guzma, perhaps he could have brought something up and hope that it stays there, but let's see what happens. All Joan needs is Guzma and an energy. Well, she also needs the Float Stone, my bad, and she has a Float Stone. So I think she has game in hand. She goes Max Elixir. Maybe she doesn't realize. Maybe she doesn't have the Guzma. If she doesn't have that Energy Guzma in hand, let's see. I'm pretty sure she does have an energy, so she just attaches to Lycanroc. And then, if that Guzma's there, she uses it. If not, she has to dig with Abyssal Hand. So she'll Abyssal Hand. That's an Acerola. And she had the Guzma. Okay, so yeah, Guzma up Zoroark, bring up Sudowoodo, yeah, Lycanroc, Claw Slash, take her prizes. Yeah, okay. Yeah, John started scooping, she picked up the Guzma. So, Joan... So, John has a Lele start here in game 2. Joan takes game 1. So, John is choosing to go first. He has an Ultra Ball, possibly for a Bridget, or Lele and then Bridget. Start getting set up, but that Lele is just really rough. Now he has to search out another one, so that's already 2 Lele on the board on the first turn. Joan, on the other hand, has a better start than last game and also a better start than John has here. She has a Rockruff active and a Regirock on the bench, and Rockruff active is not as bad as Sudowoodo. It's probably one of the preferred starters. Always want Buzzwole, but that's just not always going to happen. Okay, so I think John's actually getting N here, attaching Floatstone and then playing the N. So not an ideal start for him. So both players are shuffling up and they'll draw 6. So the reasoning why John doesn't go for the Bridget here is likely because if he Bridgeted and got his 2 Zorua and Wimpod or whatever it is he would have chosen, he likely didn't have any draw power after that, either it being Ultra Ball, Zoroark, another draw support, or a Lele. So he goes for N because he doesn't want to be left without drawing next turn. So he gets a Wimpod off of it. That's it. He holds onto the Ultra Ball for next turn in case he needs to search out another Lele. And he attaches DCE to Wimpod. Joan starts off with Brooklet Hill and immediately searches out a Buzzwole GX. Pretty good setup, like I said. She had the Rockruff and Regirock already. She has an energy in hand. So let's see what she does here. I think I see a Guzma in there and another Rockruff. She might bench the Rockruff and play Guzma to Jet Punch this turn. Okay, so she shuffles her deck from the Brooklet Hill, deciding that she's not going back in after the Buzzwole search. She plays the Guzma, bringing up the Wimpod, which is John's only ideal attacker on the board right now. And she'll Jet Punch 40 and 30. The Wimpod should have 40 because of the Regirock. They'll probably catch that. There's the fix on the damage counter. So John's in a really bad place here. So the Buzzwole Lycanroc deck, the board state isn't amazing right now, but the deck really doesn't need much to continuously put damage on the board. It really just needs the Buzzwole and a Fighting Energy early, and next turn she can use Brooklet Hill to get out whatever water or fighting Pokemon she wants, likely a Remoraid or another Buzzwole, while as John has no use out of the Brooklet Hill, and it just looks like he has a pretty terrible hand. So he's going to Ultra Ball, probably using another resource on a Lele to get another supporter, just trying to dig for maybe a double Zorua and an energy. I think right now he's looking through his deck, trying to figure out, like, what the best case scenario is if he plays this Lele and Sycamore. He looks through his cards, he's like, alright, maybe I'll hit some Zoruas. So he does go for the Lele Sycamore, and this does mean he's played all three Leles, and they're all on his bench, and his only attacker is an active Golisopod with a DCE on it. Just nothing ideal about this. It's pretty much all, like, just last-ditch efforts here, trying to get some sort of setup before the Buzzwole Lycanroc snowballs out of control, taking advantage of this poor setup like Lycanroc decks like to do. So it looks like he draws into a whole lot of nothing here, and I see an Enhanced Hammer, but he doesn't even have any targets for it, an Acerola that he can't use this turn, no Ultra Balls, no Zorua. It's pretty rough. So he passes the turn over to Joan. She draws a card. It's a Remoraid. Her setup just continues to get better while John sits there with a DCE on a Golisopod. She Ultra Balls away, I believe, an Acerola and a Rockruff to get a Tapu Lele for Sycamore. Of course, not an N because she doesn't want to help out her opponent, who's sitting there struggling. So she Lele's for a Sycamore. After attaching another basic fighting to the Buzzwole. So John has no hope at all of knocking out this Buzzwole next turn. There's nothing in his deck that can knock it out in a one-shot. With only 2 fighting energy on it. So she's going to Sycamore after John cuts her deck. And next turn, she can just attach a 3rd energy to Buzzwole and one-shot pretty much anything with its 160 attack or its Absorption GX attack, which does 40 for every prize card that you have still. Every remaining prize card, it does 40 times. So she hits a max elixir on Rockruff. Her luck continues to just keep feeding her some cards, while John, his deck does quite the opposite. So she'll do a small Jet Punch for 40 to the active, and 30 to a bench. So I believe that should be 80 on the active Golisopod now. It's hard to tell what it is, but it should be 80. And there's 60 on a bench Lele. So he's gonna take this play, Guzma, and energy drive that Rockruff, which is pretty nice, but unfortunately it means this Buzzwole is still unharmed, and it has 2 energy, just 1 energy away from using a really strong attack. So her sending up Regirock means she has a Guzma in hand, and she's probably going for that Golisopod this turn. She even hits the Octillery on a Float Stone, and she's going to Abyssal Hand, refreshing her hand. And she can use Buzzwole's 160 damage attack and knock it out with the Regirock. It was doing perfect math at oh, actually, no, he had 80 damage already, so yeah, she didn't even need the Regirock. But she chooses to Absorption GX so that she doesn't get the negative effect of that attack, which is you can't attack next turn. So she wants to be able to stream attacks with this Buzzwole. Everything's going pretty well for her. The only thing I would point out is that the choice band on that Buzzwole right now is kind of wasted. So if John gets a Field Blower, he'll get extra value off of it since she played down that choice band. But it's really her game to lose. She's so far ahead, and I don't think that choice band is going to matter too much, but it probably would have been better saved for later. So John's only attacker is a Tapu Lele with a DCE on it. It looks like Joan's just going to be able to knock it out next turn since she used Absorption GX and is able to attack next turn for 200 with the Choice Band and Regirock. So she'll probably try to knock out this Tapu Lele if he leaves it. If he doesn't leave it active, she'll try to bring it up. And if he does leave it active, it's going to be KO'd for another 2 prizes. And John right now, he's hoping for a handful of Zoruas and Zoruas and Wimpods probably. I do see Wimpods, and there's also a Zorua, I believe. So he has 2 Wimpods and Zorua. That's probably the best he could hope for off of that. And but then he's probably just going to Energy Drive and give Joan another 2 prizes off of this Tapu Lele. So Joan starts powering up another Buzzwole with a strong energy, while this active Buzzwole that she's been using the whole game is still going to do some more work after putting damage on the Golisopod, knocking it out, and also putting some damage on that bench Lele. I think this turn's going to see a knockout on the Tapu Lele. Yeah, she'll just take another 2 prizes. This deck, you'll see how aggressive it can be, especially against a deck getting a suboptimal start. It just really knows how to take advantage of it. And so she'll knock out that Lele, taking 2 prizes. She goes down to 2. John is going to try to scrounge something together. He hits a double puzzle, 1 puzzle off of the trade. Let's see if this can help. He would need to hit the Buzzwole for 150, which is possible if he can get a DCE, a Choice Band, and a full bench. And he looks at his hand, and it is a Tapu Koko. I'm confused on how that was enough. Oh, she had 100. I missed one of the dice. Okay, so he Riotous Beatings her for 120, putting it at 220. So that is a knockout. One of the dice I couldn't really see, and it had 100 on it. So it looks like Joan fails a max elixir there. Her Buzzwole, she has nothing with energy on it now, so John's kind of really taking care of her entire board because of that Rockruff he knocked out and the strong energy he removed from the benched Buzzwole, while also knocking out the active Buzzwole, so he got rid of 4 energy that turn. But really all she needs is any kind of fighting energy, fighting or strong, to get back in the game here with that Buzzwole. And like I said, John can't knock it out. Even if he was playing Mewtwo Evo, which I don't believe he is, he would need the Buzzwole to have 3 energy on it to be able to one-shot it in a perfect scenario. And so that Buzzwole, if she gets a fighting energy and puts it active, it's pretty safe. So she'll Ultra Ball for a Regirock, and she's probably trying to empty her hand, thin out her deck, and use Abyssal Hand if she doesn't have a supporter. So she offers the deck to John to cut, and let's see what she does. I think she has a Lele, but she's going to Abyssal Hand and see what she can hit off of that. She sees a fighting energy, so she might not have to use a supporter here if she likes her options. So she has a 4-card hand here, I think, deciding if she wants to tap Ulele for something probably, or just retreat and hit this Zoroark for a nice 160 damage, I believe, with Jet Punch because of weakness. Oh, she has a Guzma in hand. I actually didn't see that. Okay, so this is an interesting play. She'll bring up the Lele and hit it for a whole bunch of damage. I believe it's 80, putting it at 140. Yeah, so if he retreats the Lele, she can just hit a Jet Punch for 30 on the bench. But he'll probably try to dig into an Acerola to get rid of that. Personally, I would have just hit the Zoroark for 160, because if he Acerolas that, he also loses his only Zoroark in play for a turn, whereas Acerolling the Lele is not that big of a deal, and he can also then hit the Buzzwole for 120 damage with a Riotous Beating after, which I think that's the game plan here. So John, double Puzzle of Time, and then trade. On the double puzzle, he got an Acerola and a Golisopod. He Field Blowers the Choice Band and the Float Stone here. Evolve the Golisopod and play Acerola on the Tapu Lele that's active. So his board is clear of damage now. He will attach a DCE to Golisopod, getting the energy advantage, and I think he's going to hit Riotous Beating for 100. So, turns over to Joan. Joan has 100 on her Buzzwole. She draws for turn, plays a Brookla Hill. She's going to use it and search, see what's left in her deck. John has 3 prizes, Joan has 2, so Joan can take it slow if she wants. John has 1 card in his hand, only 1 trade available to him, so if she wants to, she can just whack this Zoroark with a Jet Punch. Best case scenario is if she had an Acerola, which she is playing in this list, she could heal that Buzzwole and send up a fresh one. So she might try to dig for that with the Abyssal Hand. Let's see what she does. She will just Jet Punch onto Zoroark for 100 damage because of weakness, and she's going to put 30 on the Golisopod with the DCE. So I actually missed a dice earlier when I said John's board had no damage on it. The Golisopod already had 30 and now it has 60. That clear dice is kind of hard to see. So we're at 2 prizes to 3. John's really made something of a comeback here, at least giving himself a chance in a game where it looked like he was just going to get blown out. So he does have a chance here, but his board state is pretty rough. He would need an Acerola to kind of heal again and maybe take 2 prizes off this Buzzwole and give himself a chance. But he's going to end, so no Acerola means this Zoroark is keeping its 100 damage that it has on it. And next turn, all Joan will have to do is Strong Energy or Choice Band Jet Punch attack the Zoroark. So if he retreats it and attacks with something else, she would also need a Guzma. But she has Octillery in play, so the end doesn't hurt too much since she will be able to draw up to 5. So John draws 3 off the end, and Joan draws 2. He attaches Choice Band to the Zoroark and just Riotous Beatings. So this is pretty easy for Joan. All she needs is a Choice Band or a Strong Energy, and she takes the game off of that Jet Punch. And she has the Choice Band, so that's game. So Joan takes the series against John. Buzzwole Lycanroc versus Zoroark Golisopod 2-0. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know, give me feedback on the new tabletop game series. I'll try to do these a couple times a month whenever I have the time to record a couple IRL games. With Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon coming out soon, or Ultra Prism, whatever the set's called in America, I'll have a ton of new content for that whenever that hits PTCGO. So I'll probably be focusing on that until I run out of new decks to play and to test and new matchups to showcase and to talk about. We'll probably also be seeing some meta analysis for St. Louis Collinsville regionals. I'll try to have at least 1 or 2 videos about that up when Ultra Prism hits and we're a couple weeks away from St. Louis. So thank you guys for watching, and you can follow me on Twitter for updates on new videos and when I'm streaming on Twitch. Have a great day, guys.